Yo, what's up guys? I pray that you're all doing well. Today's a very special video. I'm with two European legends, man. Some familiar faces. You've probably seen these guys in so many tournaments, on social media and whatnot. We have Sephiblack with us. Sephiblack, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, JoKa. Thank you for asking. Hope you're also doing great.
All good. And below me, sorry, and Sephiblack, the way my screen's positioned, we have Tetsu, man, the European champ. A lot of people don't talk about this achievement. You know, he won EU Cup by beating me somehow. But yeah, Tetsu, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, bro. Thank you. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm all good, man. So today we're going to be talking about a series of different topics and questions. It's going to be like more of a formal discussion. We're going to be talking about, like, not even a formal discussion. It's going to be like super chill, just talking about different things. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video. I'll link these guys' socials down below and everything. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy and make sure you follow all of us. Okay, so before I start talking about some of the questions I've written down, I wanted to start off with a very interesting take that Tetsu has. Now, Tetsu said something word for word in a Twitch chat. Tetsu said, I think EU has gotten lazy. I feel like most of us grinded more in Tekken 7. Nowadays, it's more content creation. Tetsu, talk to me.
So, obviously content creation is grinding as well, but what I meant is in terms of tournament performance and just being better. And what I think is that, especially in this game, you get wins easier by how the game is built in general, because you have more forced 50-50s, you have more situations where you can just force up your attacks. And since attacking is easier, winning is easier, hence you don't need to put as much work in as you used to in order to win against an opponent that is maybe, let's say, slightly better or even a lot better. And I think, I don't know, people just focus a lot on content creation. They grind out their YouTube, they grind out your Twitch. And from my personal opinion, when I was streaming in Tekken 8, I felt like I didn't improve. I was streaming for the sake of fun and for entertaining, but I couldn't count that as actual practice. And I feel like the more people stream, obviously the less time they have to practice off stream. I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but I'd say since everyone is streaming more and doing YouTube more, and on top of that, winning is easier, I feel like they don't put as much time in it. Maybe it's also because we don't have things like ICFC anymore, where we had weekly things to look up on and grind for a reason, because people wanted to win ICFC. So kind of they lack their goal, and hence they don't practice as much anymore.
Sephi, what do you think about this take?
I think I know what Tetsu means, but overall, I would say people do grind, play a lot, but they want the, how do you say it, like the somehow fame or get more present, to be more present, marketable in social media. Like on Twitter, we see more clips, people do post, but the streamers or people do stream way more, because since it's a new game, more people used to watch it in the beginning compared to Tekken 7. But for example, if I talk from my side, I stream, but I also play off stream as well. So besides of the time that I play on stream to entertain, to have a good time with the chat and be like to get my time on Twitch, I also need to play off stream to improve or to focus properly. And I think it's similar for you, because you're streaming and do it for like entertainment purposes, but also play more serious off stream, right?
Yeah, that's true. I do play a lot on stream, but again, it's hard to give it my 100% because you're talking with the chat, you're just trying to entertain and stuff. But again, I think with what Tetsu's saying, I understand where he's coming from, but I don't necessarily agree, because I feel like now in Europe, there's a lot of people traveling. There's more people that are trying to, stream and make a name for themselves, which is something I respect a lot, because I feel like in Tekken 7, there was only like maybe a handful of players traveling, but I feel like there's so many players traveling in Europe now.
Okay. Yeah, there are more players compared to Tekken 7, like who have more spotlight, I would say, in Tekken 8 and have more success as well, because like they could beat very good players or did great results so far. Um, yeah, it's a mix of both. We have more content creators, I would say, or more streamers in general, but also more people that do play this game more competitive. So it's a mix of both, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. But anyways, let's move on to the next question. Thank you for that amazing take, Tetsu. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. I hope a lot of people agree.
Okay, so the first question I have, guys, is what's your routine as a pro player? So how often do you practice, lab, etc.? So for me, I like to stream. I make content as well. But obviously, I'm a competitor, you know. So I usually play like ranked. Like I try hard in ranked. Like I try to focus and learn as much as possible. At least 2 hours a day where I'm really trying. And then I also do, and you know, I've not said this before. I mean, I have on stream, but I haven't told a lot of people. But I actually have a second account where I really try hard with like Feng and Reina and Heihachi. So I like to practice a lot and watch my replays on my second account just so I can learn where I'm going wrong, where I'm going right, and whatnot. But yeah, like I don't really lab too much. I know a lot of people probably think it's a stereotype where, oh, if this guy's a professional player, he must be labbing a lot. But me personally, I only lab when I need to find out something about a situation or about a matchup or just certain things I might be thinking about randomly, you know? What do you think, Sephi? So what's your routine?
Usually, I also try to play like at least, if it's possible, 4 hours a day. It might be ranked, but it might be also lobbies, like against certain players. I have like I had like a routine where I play against a few players first to 5 sets. So where I'm really focusing on winning. And besides of the playing part, I also like to watch Tekken matches to get some inspiration, to learn from other players because I need like or inspiration for Shaheen, for example. I have a few top players that I usually watch daily.
Just to interrupt you, that's something I did forget to mention. I do
Yeah.
like to also watch a lot of players as well, just to
Mhm.
try and learn and take inspiration from them. Like
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm casually playing ranked, when I'm not trying as hard, I like to put up
Mhm.
streams or like a YouTube video just to try and replicate and understand what people are
Mhm.
doing. But yeah,
Yeah.
carry on, Sophie. Sorry about that.
This is and good that you're saying it because this is also the time that you're investing into the game. Just because you're not playing, maybe, but watching videos, it's investment in like practicing because you're learning with your mind basically is how to play better or play better for the next time. Besides of that, when I'm losing certain matches, where I'm lose really badly, sometimes I do watch my replays, and try to find a solution. Since it's it's easily to use the replay mode, where you can like change situations and try to find a better solution for certain situations. It can be very helpful. I should use it more, maybe, overall because it could be clearer on like it would be more obvious where my mistakes would be, I would say, when I would watch replays. But yeah, here and there I do it, not so much, I have to say. But yeah, playing ranked lobbies, watching replays and watching inspirations are the usual things that I do to improve.
And what about you, Tetsu, man? It seems like every time I see you in tournaments, you're figuring out the most random situations and option selections and all this shit, man. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit of the odd one out here because I think you both know that I do not play that much ranked compared to like everyone else. Usually I only play ranked on stream, which is rare as well sometimes. And off stream, I think what I prefer is just lobbies or practice mode, which I think is very important. Or as you both said, watching. I think watching is a bit of underrated in, let's say, not competitive level, but like the level below. People don't know how important watching can be or taking inspiration or seeing how other players play. This is one of my main things. And on top of that, what we used to do, but now since Sephi moved away, we used to meet up once a week offline and I tried to put all my resources, or like the most of my resources, to that one offline session. When you have someone to practice with regularly, even offline is even better. You just learn a lot. It's just how my career as a player started as well. You start off low, but the more you play in that environment, which is the environment at the end of the day where you will play tournaments in, is just how you will improve. And then I try to just remember, okay, what happened? How did I lose? And try to replicate the things or the mistakes I did in practice mode. I think personally, for me, practice mode is one of the most important things. Even like after tournament sets where you cannot go into the instant replay features because you played an offline tournament, what I like to do is when you have two monitors, to have the tournament running on one monitor and be in practice mode at the same time, and just pause, go, and just like to see the most important things. It's most often it's an HP thing. Where did you lose HP? Where did the opponent lost HP? How did you manage to do that? And just try to see in the lab how you managed to win or how you managed to lose, what your mistakes were. And in certain situations, just try to find solutions. It's all about finding solutions. And that's like the general thing. And before tournaments especially, I just like to analyze and watch videos of my opponents and analyze habits. And then, as you said, find certain option selects or find certain options against things that my opponent likes to do a lot.
You touched on something which is so important, I think. Having someone on a similar skill level as you, and of course offline practice, it's so important. I think even for newer players, like, it's so important for them to try and find people on the same skill level, because you can learn more together, if you're at the same level. I feel like if you play against someone that's a way higher skill level than you, it's going to be harder to learn from them and grow as a player yourself. So yeah, I think offline practice is so important as a competitor, and I think that's something we lack in Europe. I think we don't really do like boot camps like what other regions are doing. And me personally, I think it's so important to like get offline practice, especially before the big tournaments, that like I've invested money myself to go to places like, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, just to get that offline practice. Because I think something I always say to people is they don't understand the levels of Tekken and the different styles of Tekken until they leave their region, until they see how other people play, like to see how they practice, what their routine is. Like, it can change so much.
Yeah, I think one of the most important things where a player improves a lot is when he travels and actually goes to different regions, finds out different playstyles, and then kind of like builds his own playstyle based off of everyone else. And I think this is really important. What I noticed with myself, especially, is when I traveled a lot or started traveling, I started to see different playstyles, see how people in Asia play, see how people in America play, see how people in different countries in Europe play as well. I'd say like countries in Europe can differ a lot as well. Let's compare, I don't know, Germany in Tekken 7, who were mostly a bit defensive, and then maybe Spain, who were known to attack a lot and be good in attacking. And I feel like knowing and seeing both playstyles and kind of building your own base of them is how you improve as well.
Sephi, what do you think?
Now, this is a really good point that Tetsu mentions. Like, practicing like offline is so important to improve overall. Like, you traveled so many countries, like you've been in Saudi and Pakistan, and you can clearly see their strength or the difference on your country to UK. And trying to adapt these things and bring it to the UK can like be so good so helpful for the other players as well. So you can grow overall together as like the skill level.
Yeah.
So I think this is so helpful.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Tetsu?
I think what I was mentioning earlier is that Tekken is a lot of finding a solution, in order to beat your opponent. And if you're stuck in one region, you have, let's say, one solution to beat the players of your region. But once you start traveling, that one solution might not work for anyone else.
Yeah.
So you start developing deeper things, more knowledge, and develop just things how to beat other players, and that will help you in tournament, because in tournament you'll face the most different, the craziest playstyles ever. And if your one solution, let's say how to beat everyone in UK, won't work, since you have traveled and worked out other things, how you can win in Tekken in general, you'll be able to win against more opponents in general.
Yeah, that's true. And again, of course, we're all fortunate enough to be sponsored and we're committing to the game, so it's different for us. I understand if people can't travel and stuff, But I definitely recommend people that are taking like competition seriously in Tekken to try and travel and stuff, because I think you can learn so much about your playstyle and again about Tekken in general and the way like other regions play and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely support your locals,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
that's where everyone starts,
Yeah.
and that's where you can find players equal to your skill level, which is one of the most important things.
yeah, support
Yeah.
your locals, and I think online you can learn a lot, but I think there's a limit to how much you can learn online. Like I see a lot of people recently just like complaining like online's bad and you can't learn that much, but I think a lot of us started from online, right? Like me personally, I started from online and then I started going offline. Like it's crazy what online can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me as well, like I started even Tekken 5 DR online, like when for the PlayStation 3. And then I've took the opportunity to go to one tournament, and then I saw what difference it can make to play offline with people, and it
Yeah.
helped me so much since then.
For sure, for sure.
For sure.
So the next thing I want to ask you guys, since we talked about like regions and whatnot, is when going abroad to certain regions like Asia or NA, like we go to NA a lot, right? Do you guys prepare differently for each region because of the difference of playstyle? I think me personally, I'll answer this question first. I like to watch, like regardless of the region or skill level, I like to watch a lot of Tekken. Like I said, whenever I'm playing Tekken or I'm just chilling on my PC, I always keep my second monitor, just like watching random streams or YouTube videos, just to try and understand and like implement some of those things into my own game plan. But again, like Tetsu mentioned earlier, when like how he practices as what his routine is. If the brackets are out for a tournament, let's just say I don't know combo breaker or something, I'm obviously going to see who's in my path and whatnot. But I don't just look at who's in my path. I also look at the other people that can be a threat. Me personally, I don't like to underestimate anyone, especially in a game like Tekken, like first to two. Like anything can happen, right? And especially in Tekken 8. But yeah, like I always be prepared and always do my research. I think that's so important because there's some players that might play characters you don't know about, like on the side and stuff. So you have to always be prepared, especially if you're a professional player, right? You can't make excuses. You just have to do the work, put in the work before you go to these tournaments, and on the tournament day, what happens. What's your thoughts? Tetsu, I'll let you go first.
Well, as you said, I think for me personally, it's just waiting until the bracket is out actually, because I'm checking my path, and if I check my path and check the players and how they play, I really go deep into it. Multiple hours of watching their videos, streams, past tournaments, and I think since if you're going to a region, most of your bracket will be players from that region, and since the region will have similarities, not 100%, but a region will have similarities. If you prepare for 2 or 3 guys, which you will have to do anyways once you're in going to a big tournament like Combo Breaker, you'll touch on general habits of the country or like general game plan of the country. I feel like some regions tend to try to win in the same kind of way, and if I go and try to see, okay, how player XYZ works, I'll kind of, not 100%, but figure out how player ABC works if they're from the same region. But I just don't have the resources to look up everything. But I just like to focus on my path, on my bracket, and I'm confident enough that if I have the ability to analyze them, that I will go through that bracket.
What about you, Sephi?
Yeah, like usually, if it's possible, and if the brackets are like online or released, I try also to prepare for the most threatening players or the most notable, like the players that I might know, or even if I don't know them, maybe like checking their YouTube if they have YouTube videos. This might help to like analyze them. But besides of that, like if I know which characters are kind of popular or will like appear in this region, for example, I know in the US King is very popular, so I will prepare definitely for King. It doesn't matter. Maybe there's a King player coming for me, like, and will prepare for these characters or Jack. For example, when I go to the US, I know Jack is coming, so I need to prepare for certain characters as well, even though I don't know if I face them in my usual path because they can happen some upsets. you need to be ready for like multiple characters. And yeah, like Tetsu said, since the playstyles might be similar, if you're ready for 2 or 3 players, you might be also ready for like the whole region. But of course, there are certain exceptions or certain players who can like can play different. But usually, when you feel comfortable against the character and practice against a specific character like King a lot, you should be ready for these players as well.
Okay, something I want to ask you, because we did mention like King and Jack, and those two characters specifically, like right now in Europe, we don't have many people like playing those characters. So,
Yeah.
what's your game plan against those characters when you, let's just say, if you're gonna play against a Jack in a different region, what's your game plan? How do you prepare? Like me personally, what I do, I like to pick up the character and learn them and then play them in rank, just so I can understand the different options and the different situations. Like, what do you guys do? Anything else besides that?
No, I think that's one of the most important things, because once you start playing a character and rank them up, you'll see how other players try to beat you. And if other players are successful, not only you will learn how to adapt with that character, you'll also learn where or where that character has flaws, and you need to find those flaws and need to work a way around to beat them. And I think that's the most important thing. Me personally, I like to play a lot of characters towards the end of Tekken 7. I almost played everyone. And as soon as I start challenging a character or losing to a character a lot, I try to pick up the character myself. And I think this is really important. But this is a thing that only people can do who already feel comfortable with their own character, who have put a lot of work. I wouldn't recommend things like that to anyone who is still struggling with their own character or still needs to polish their fundamentals or polish other things, because that is the #1 priority.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good that you're mentioning it. For example, me, I used to be like that in Tekken 7 since I felt comfortable with Miguel. Now, since I don't have him anymore in Tekken 7 and Tekken 8, I try to polish Shaheen or like to improve my Shaheen as much as possible, and try to learn to play against other characters to see to find out their most important tools for certain situations. For example, for King, it's obvious that they won't use down for 2-1, for example. But in which situations do they use this kind of tool? And then I need to figure it out, or try to figure out, do they use it more often as a keep out tool, or after which situations do they use this string? And try to be aware of it when I play against King players. Even if we don't have many King players, we still got one of these. And even they are not like the highest of ranks, it doesn't need to be the highest of ranks if you want to improve against these characters. You can play also like mediocre or good players who know their character pretty well. It's already good enough like practice if you see these moves happen often, because you need to get the experience against certain moves. For example, ducking down for 2-1, or being ready to punish like moves which have short block stun. And the practical experience is therefore very important for me, for example.
I think that's a really important point, because as you said, a lot of it in Tekken comes down to muscle memory and being used to situations. And then even though a player of that character might not be the same level as you, a professional, it can be that it's still helpful that you play with players lower your level. Sometimes I ask people, hey, can we play? And they say, hey, I won't be a challenge for you. But it's still, you will be in certain situations that you will end up being as well when you play against a, let's say, King player on highest level, top level. And being in that situation before, even against another player who might not be top level, just means that you will develop some kind of muscle memory. You will be in that situation and already be more comfortable instead of being in something whole new.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what both of you guys said. All right, so moving on to the next question. Now, this is more of a... I think this one's an interesting question because, you know, everyone has a different personality. You know, some people have personas and stuff in the FGC, but deep down, like, we all have different thought processes and whatnot, right? So the question I want to ask you guys is, how do you deal with expectations and pressure as a competitor?
Sephi, you may start.
Yeah, okay. Of course, people have some expectations from me. when I enter tournaments, and in the beginning it was very hard, especially when you're a sponsored player. You know, you don't want to disappoint your team, you don't want to disappoint your fans or people who want to see you winning. But this can affect this affected my performance in the beginning very badly, I have to say, because this energy or this negative pressure I had, if let me perform so badly. And this was very tough in the beginning, but the more I played under my team's name, the better I performed. And when I felt when I tried to find when I put myself in a more, how to say it, stress-free position where I say, okay, you need to perform well, obviously, but if it's not working, it's not that bad. Just give your best. The thought that I have, just give your best and try to perform well, instead of I have to win this tournament, I need to beat everyone, is a bit different. Because usually when I try to perform, when I try to play good, usually I perform better, because then I do the things properly. Then if I say, yeah, I just want to get the first place, get the money or the trophy or stuff like this.
Tetsu, what about you?
I think starting off, it's very hard. Especially when you freshly join a new team. Not even new team, if you haven't been in a team forever, if it's your first team. It's really hard, because you want not only to play for yourself, you'll play for your team, and eyes will be on you, especially if you got picked up by a team. For me personally, it was bad as well, but you kind of get used to it, because you know that you're in that team, or you put in the work for a reason. You know they picked you up for a reason, and you know you've played and put a lot of time into this game for a reason. And I think even though some situations might not work, even though you might lose early on, it's just something that sometimes you cannot change. It's just a lot of tournaments, or a lot of tournament situations, is also based on your daily condition. Your daily condition, obviously, you can affect a lot by being healthy, take care of your body. But sometimes you just have an off day, you can't change it. And the best thing about that, or the best thing to care about that, is to play to your best, and just think of it that you only owe yourself something. You've put in the work, and play to the best you can based off that work you put in, and just gotta think of that. I think on top of that, what could work is what some players do. I don't, but what I've listened from some players is that they try to calm themselves down with certain rituals before tournament days, or even before tournament matches, listening to some music that calms you down, or even hypes you up. Both works. I'd be that kind of guy that rather wants to be calmed down by music, but then there are guys who like to hype themselves up before a tournament match, and I think that kind of helps with pressure and expectations. If you have some rituals that help you go through the match and not think too much about results, just think about working out a way where the time you put in works out.
Yeah, I think to add to your lot's answers, I think there's always going to be expectations and pressure as a competitor, especially if you're a known player, right? But I think with experience, it becomes easier to do with nerves and whatnot. Now I can give you an example, for example, I won in Pakistan, right? But after that, the expectations and pressure was insane. People are saying, this guy's the best player in the world, blah, blah, blah. There's only so much you can tune out from your head, right? Because you're always going to start thinking about certain things. But sometimes it can affect you, because obviously if you keep that same mentality, if you stay humble, stay grounded, if you're I'm going to work hard, it's the mentality I have, always work hard, never underestimate anyone, always put the work in, and on tournaments, in tournaments, whatever happens on the day happens, because not everyone can win. Not anyone can win every tournament. Even the top guys can't win every single tournament. It's just not possible, because Tekken is a very hard game, and there's just so much volatility as well right now, especially, So yeah, I think putting in the work, working hard, doing your best, and of course giving your best for your fans, for yourself, for your team, I think that's super important.
But now I gotta ask you something, because I think you're the odd one out between us. Usually, when we play tournament matches on stream, like Sephi and me, we play with headphones. You usually don't. And don't you think, or like, how do you deal with that situation? Because doesn't the crowd, especially when you play in EU against someone from another region, let's say you are in EU, you know, mix up grand finals against Tacoma, doesn't the crowd put more pressure on you? Or let's say other way around, you're in NA and play against an American player, doesn't playing without headphone affect you that much and put pressure on you? Because when you have headphones, I feel like I can tunnel vision onto the game and just focus straight up.
It's interesting you ask me that, because so many people have asked me that question. So when we went to the 10v10, right, that was actually my first international outside of the region. My first actual international was CT 2021. So like, I'm so happy I just took that big leap and went to Combo Breaker, because everyone that was there knows it was completely different to the way it sounded on stream. Like, it was so loud, you could literally hear everyone saying these crazy sentences like, oh, E's bad, this and that. Honestly, I think that, like, the crowd and stuff, even people booing, it helps me. Like, I think it gives me energy to like try even harder and not lose, you know, because I also competed in CEO after, I think it was Combo Breaker, right? And I think that year it was, I think I got third. And yeah, I still remember, right? I played against, I think it was Genghis-Dan. I was in losers because I lost to Gen. And I played Genghis-Dan. And I still remember, right, behind me, there were like 20 people just talking shit. And the only person that was behind me was Gosain. And like, whenever Genghis-Dan would land a combo on me, I could hear everything. But I thought, you know what? I'm not gonna let him land a combo on me. I'm gonna stay solid. I'm gonna win this. And you know what the funny thing is? Every time I'd land a combo, I just hear Gosain shout and cheer for me, which is so funny. But like, my point is, it gives you motivation. That's the type of person I am. I think it helps me, but I'd understand why it wouldn't help everyone, because noise can stop you from like noise can distract you and stop you from focusing and whatnot. But I think, me personally, I don't think I need to listen to the game sound as well. I think as long as I'm looking and focusing on what's happening situation by situation, I think I can play and compete to the best of my ability. Okay, so the next question I have is, how do you reset your mental after a bad tournament result or performance? Now, I think I'll start off with this one, because in Tekken 8 I've been having some bad performances. I think for me, the most important thing is to never get too emotional. I like to always look at what I did wrong, what I did right, and just improve from that. I always take it like, tournaments for me, it's all about who's the best on the day. It's not about who's the most skillful, you know. It's all about who's the best on the day. Like, there's going to be so many variables outside of tournaments, in tournaments, that could affect even the best players in the world, right? So I just think to myself, you know, if I do bad in a tournament, it's okay. As long as I learn from it, keep a healthy mindset, a positive outlook, I'm going to do better in the next tournament. What's your lots of thoughts on this question? Anyone can answer.
Yeah. Feel free, I talked before.
I think, honestly, I don't. When I have bad tournament results, it really gets to me. Like, it also depends what your definition of bad is, you know? For some persons, it's getting second. For some persons, it's getting like 0-2. And usually I have a set goal, or like, obviously the goal is to win. But if I have a bad tournament or bad performance, it takes time to recover. I think I just don't touch the game for a bit. It's all about recovering. It's very hard for me, and but I think at the end of the day, as you said, on that, it's who was the best on that day, the one who won the tournament, and you have to recover from it. And at first, when I started off, it was very hard for me to watch back my losses, but it got better over time, because you could see how you could improve from lost matches. I mean, you'll improve more from lost matches than winning matches. And I still give it a break though. Like, if I have a bad tournament performance, bad result, I don't think about the game. I don't think about a tournament for like 2 days, 3 days. Just maybe distract yourself a bit, play other games, watch some shows, and then get back into it, because it's sometimes you just need a break, and maybe that's the best timing for it.
For me, usually when I have a bad tournament like result, especially in Tekken 8, like I'm losing way more and I'm way more like frustrated about my performances. I feel like I want to play again and try to get back like into the grind to improve. Because after like bad performances, I think, man, yeah, I'm. It depends also how I played. Sometimes I feel like when it's close, when it was a close set, and it was just one mix-up, it's like okay, whatever. Like I guessed wrong at the end. It is what it is. But sometimes when I'm feeling like I played because I didn't know the matchup or I just overall did so many mistakes by myself, it's frustrating. Then I try to like rethink about the situations or my problems that I had in the tournament and try to avoid it for the next time. For example, with Shaheen, like having the right balance or how to implement like slides is a whole own meta that you like need to like feel comfortable with. And for me, like figuring it out is like and playing and yeah, find the like proper create a proper plan how to use it is like my way to improve because if I would improve these things like for example slide mix up then I would be better. That's why I'm motivated to play more tournaments than or up like I'm motivated for the next tournament.
Okay, something I want to add to this question is how do you mentally recover from being a round away from losing and making a comeback?
Well, I think so you're saying we were a round away from losing,
Yeah.
but then we still managed to win the whole set.
I'm sure like we've all experienced that, and like me personally, whatever happens in a round, it happens. I just focus on the next round. I don't think about anything else. If I'm down 5 rounds, I just think to myself, I have to win this round, and then I'll win the next round. I don't think about, oh shit, I'm gonna lose. I just think I need to win this round, and then I'll focus on the next round, step by step. What do you guys do, or what do you guys think about when you're losing or you're about to lose a set?
I think like the step-by-step thing is very important. You cannot focus too much on I lost that many rounds, because at the end of the day, even when you're 5 rounds away, even if you're down 5 rounds, that's just 6 rounds away from winning still, which is not much in Tekken 8, especially in 8. And I think what is really important here is, as you said, we take a situation where we make a comeback. It really depends on how you make your comeback. Let's say your opponent is up 5 rounds and the 6th round you kind of win even, like you have 50%, both of you hit a combo. That's like whatever, I focus on the next round like nothing happened. But let's say you're like 1 HP away. You're 5 rounds down, you're 1 HP away, and then you manage to win. I think it's really important to remember that you just made the greatest comeback just off of that round and take the momentum and make your opponent even more scared, because in that situation mental plays a huge role, not only for yourself, also for your opponent. When you manage to do a comeback where you were only 1 hit away from losing, you have to take the momentum and make the opponent even more scared, because from that moment on you can snowball the whole set into your favor.
Yeah, this is a really good example that you said. Like Yagami did it show like crazy with his insane like comeback that he did, and he had the momentum. That's why he could do this insane comeback. Otherwise, without the momentum that he caught against Chanel, it wouldn't be possible. Like taking the right opportunities, do like comeback, which means like doing a mental damage on your opponent, and then try to steamroll your opponent or try to make your opponent insecure is the right approach.
Yeah, definitely. I think momentum and of course having the belief and the mindset.
Yeah, like it's not over until it's over. Some people like putting their pad, stick, whatever away before the round is over, but it's not even clear if it's over, or they mentally gave up, or like. But until you're not seeing KO, it's not done. You can always do comebacks, and we've seen clearly so many comebacks.
So many, yeah.
But there have been so many situations where I've been to a tournament, and you know, one guy hit the winning combo on another one, and that other guy was already looking away. He was like looking away, looking down, and then the one guy dropped the combo and the other one managed to do a comeback. Bro, that's the most, I don't know, man, that's so crazy. Don't look away until you can see KO because there's an
Yeah.
opportunity.
Because anything can happen, literally anything, you
Anything
know.
can happen, bro. Even if you do the perfect combo, the game can just say no and drop your most consistent combo in the game, and you lose the whole set.
Exactly, man. We've seen it happen so many times in so many different tournaments as well. Okay, so next question. We're talking about balance. So, as competitors, how do you guys feel about the current patch cycles that are quite regular? Do you prefer the way it was done in Tekken 7, or do you prefer the way it's being done in Tekken 8?
If we compare like Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, I feel like Tekken 8 has way more patches than within a year compared to Tekken 7. I think in Tekken 7 it was like maximum 2 times a year where patches came, and now we have like it's 1.09.
Yeah.
And in between we also have like numbers, and for like a completely new game like Tekken 8 it changed so much within the year. So I think it's okay like Tekken 8 handled it in the first year, but the second year should look different. Of course there can be like big patches once a year. I don't mind, because like once a year having like some changes in the meta is healthy, I think, for the spectators and maybe even for the competitors, because they need to adjust and to different characters which were unpopular. But I think Tekken 8 right now is in a good direction for me personally, because there's so many things that needed to change and will change. Unfortunately, not all they are not changes that are going into the right direction, I would say, for every character, because certain characters are untouched, I would say, from the patch.
Yoshimitsu.
Yeah, definitely. Like Yoshimitsu is the best example, and
Claudio as well.
Kuma.
I did that.
But the idea, or like to change many things or many broken things, like Heat Burst, for example, was so broken in the beginning. If you think about it, you could kill people with like a power crush. Homing, like move is ridiculous. Was ridiculous, and also like Heat dash on and the wall stun for certain moves. This was crazy. Imagine they would change these kinds of things after 1 year. This would be too long of like a time during the Tekken World Tour even. So I think for like essential things like that, they can change. Like if it's needed, they should change it faster. But if it's not that needed, like a few characters that are stronger than other characters in minor ways, they can take their time for like 1 year.
I think I'm a bit torn because obviously Tekken 8 didn't have an arcade release, you know. We have to change a lot. They listened to some feedback on Twitter. They had to change the game a lot and still have to. Don't understand me wrong here. The game is fresh, the game is new. When we had Tekken 7, it was a game that was released on arcades already for 2 years. It was out for 2 years. So they could allow themselves to have a patch cycle of maybe once or twice a year. And as it is a new game now, we need to change a lot. Now the problem is, I think if they kind of get to a state where it's kind of fixed, it won't be fixed for everyone. Some people will still hate it. I'm not sure if they will keep a 1 year patch cycle, because especially nowadays they need to have a way, like Namco as a company has to find a way to have players remain playing the game. And I don't know if people will start to say it's getting boring. Obviously, you'll have DLCs, you'll have season passes, you'll have new characters. But now, since we're already used to a patch cycle, which is like one patch every 2 months, one patch every 3 months, which is not as good for competitors, I have to say, because the characters will change throughout the Tekken World Tour season. I feel like they will have to continue that kind of thing to keep players play the game, because it gets interesting. Once you have a patch cycle that lasts for half a year or 1 year, maybe new players which haven't played Tekken 7 will say, oh, this kind of gets boring, it's always the same characters, I want to have more regular patch, or like in general, like our dopamine infused brains cannot handle playing the same thing for a year anymore. I feel like back in Tekken 7 was different, but now we got used to it. New players that have not touched Tekken 7 got used to it, and maybe they will not keep on playing. Maybe they're not happy with season passes only, new characters only. Maybe they want new patches. And even though that will have a disadvantage on the competitive scene, maybe Namco is forced to do that to keep players remain onto Tekken.
I think something I should add onto this is like what it feels like in Tekken 8. Of course, we didn't get an arcade or a proper beta. We did get a beta, but like not like proper testing. It feels like what they're doing is they're dropping like big patches at the start before tournament season, and sometimes like in the middle. Now, I think the most important thing is the timing of the patches. Now, I'm gonna give you guys an example because we were all there. DreamHack Sweden, like that patch changed the whole game. Like there was that the Heat Burst patch? I think.
Yeah, that was the Heat Burst patch.
I was just thinking. I remember seeing Heat Burst just whiff and people just looking at them. Like I think a patch that's as game changing as that needs to happen after big tournaments like that, because I don't think it's fair for all the competitors. I think especially for some of the people that travel as well, like from overseas and stuff, like they have to travel earlier on, whereas like we were in Europe, so maybe we got like some time on the patch, right? I think the timing of these patches is so important. I think it's something they should consider more when dropping patches, because imagine having big patches like that before or during like Evo or like tournaments like that. It's not good, right? Like I think timing is so important.
I mean, what they can do a lot is they sometimes just drop a patch and say it's not legal for the tournament.
Yeah.
But then again, once they do this, you usually don't have an opportunity to practice at home on the old patch, because if you play PC, you play PS5, it auto updates, and you're forced to play the new patch, and you kind of want to play the new patch as well. Like it's new, you like it, dopamine infused brains, we cannot change. So kind of it's hard to practice on the old patch.
Yeah, you got any thoughts on that, Sephi? Like, do you think the timing and schedule of when the patches drop is so important as competitors, of course?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, DreamHack Summer is a really good example, because 1 week before was DreamHack Dallas.
Yeah.
And then directly 1 week after, so many things that changed, so many characters that changed, and it's unfair for the competitors, definitely. So I hope like the company does consider this for the next time when they're bringing patches. Also, even I would say Tiger Uppercut. Like Tiger Uppercut 1 week before Heihachi got released.
Yeah.
Like, and I think also a few changes that happen when I'm
Heat
not...
Smash, for example.
Yeah, for example. These things are also like unfair for the last Tekken World Tour event. Imagine this is so for so many people like the last chance to qualify for the Tekken World Tour, and then they bring a patch 1 week before and they wanted to practice but they can't because Heihachi came out and the patch came out, and
I think
you need to get used to it.
It's really important for like the dev team, and not just the dev team, but like the TOs to also communicate in advance so people are aware. Because I remember, Tetsu, you went to Thailand, right? Because you tried to qualify for Tekken World Tour Finals. And I think, was it like 2 days before, 3 days when they announced like whether it's tournament legal or not?
Yeah, it was... we were at Golden Letters, I remember. We were at Golden Letters once they announced it. So that means it was like 5-ish days, but it's still not a lot of time. Because they were unsure about... I mean, I think they were... No, they were unsure about if Heihachi is legal or not. They did take a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, I think just more communication and maybe just a bit more time is definitely something that would help. Like, I think everyone, not just the competitors,
But I think in general, they did improve up on the timing because I remember back then Tekken 7, it was August, September. That means it was mid-season. August is like around the time when Evo was dropping. I think it was shortly after Evo. In Tekken 7, bro, they dropped a whole season. It was season 3 that dropped in mid TWT season. It's not like a small balance match. They dropped the whole season. When they dropped the season in Tekken 7, they changed the whole game, and it was mid TWT. And I kind of feel like, even though, as you said, we had one big patch before the season started, all of the small patches, they gradually changed the game a lot. Like if you compare the last event of TWT, which was Tiger Uppercut, with one of the first ones, Evo Japan,
Yeah.
bro, the tournament that Chikurin won, or like the game that Chikurin won, is not the same game as it was played on Tiger Uppercut. It is a whole new game. Let's call that one 8, and this is 8.5 because so much changed.
Yeah, that's something I like though, because you know, although the timing of some of the patches was like a bit messed up, I think the way they're working on like the patches and stuff, the way they're balancing the game as quickly as possible, they're trying, and it's a lot more frequent than Tekken 7. I really like and obviously respect and appreciate their efforts, but I feel like a lot of people just say, oh, why aren't they doing this, why aren't they doing that? Like, everyone needs to understand they're human beings as well, and you know, these patches need to get approved by the higher ups and whatnot. Like, there's so many things that we don't know about, you know. We're just like, where's the next patch, why isn't this character nerfed and whatnot? So yeah.
But thankfully they even say or telling us for the upcoming patches what their plans are. This is also compared to Tekken 7. They just put some patch notes there. Okay, there you go.
Like
but now they're like trying to explain the problem, what the problem was, and their solution. Even though it might not be it's questionable if it's the best solution. At least they try to explain what they're doing, and this is some great thing.
At least I don't put 3 damage nerf. That's what was needed.
Yeah, like they're definitely communicating more, and that's something that's so important because, like you said, in Tekken 7 we were just like left in the dust. Here's your patch notes, and that's it. But in Tekken 8, there's more communication. They're explaining why they're doing certain things to certain characters. I think that's really good and something that I really like.
And on the Tekken Talk, they usually also bring up a roadmap. Like, we want to drop the next patch that time. We want to have that one at that time, and so on.
Yeah.
This is good.
Okay, the next question. This one is probably the question I've been wanting to ask you guys like for so long, and I don't think I've asked you guys this like when we speak or when we meet at tournaments and whatnot. What do you guys think about the first to 2 standard in Tekken 8?
I think it's a difficult question because as players, as competitive players, obviously we want first to 3, but there are so many things we don't know probably because I don't know. I haven't TO'd a tournament, not a big tournament. Both of you probably haven't, and I think TOs have a hard time already with managing large-scale tournaments. Let's not talk about locals. Let's talk about tournaments that have 300 plus players. And having a first to 3 standard would just increase the time by so much. And we don't need to see if pro player X beats casual player X 2-0, 3-0. So I think what would be a good middle point is to have first to 3s early on. You know, some people like to do it from top 8, which is like a standard of Street Fighter as well, which I like. But then again, Street Fighter only has 2 rounds per game, per match, and it's a lot faster than Tekken. But I think for Tekken it'd be alright as well. Depending on like time format, you could also do top 16-ish. But I think first to 3 is definitely needed in a game as volatile as Tekken 8. And what I think another perk that would automatically come from first to 3 top 8s, top 16s, whatever, if you start to implement first to 3 way before winners finals, losers finals, I think you'd also be able to see a higher character variety because people kind of, like for myself, I'd be scared to pick another character in a first to 2. But if I know I have first to 3 and it's not like winners final, losers final, I can try out a different character because losing one match won't be as meaningful as for a first to 2. I can try one of my sub characters, even another character which would fit better in that matchup, and I think that case would happen for a lot of other players as well. So we would see more different characters on stream as well, which is a perk for Namco as a company as well, I think.
Sephi, what do you think?
Like, personally, it's more dynamic to watch first to two sets as a spectator. As a competitor, of course, it's more stressful because when you lose one match, you're like, damn it, there's only one chance, and then it might be 0-2. Like, but as a first to three, like the finals right now, it's okay. But personally, I wish to see it in top 8, like first to three format, because the quality of the top 8 is always like really high, and especially like master events. And watching more games is, for me personally, more enjoyable. But I witnessed a time in Tekken 6 when I also competed where first to three format was normal. After like group phase, everyone played first to three. Like it was normal to play like top 32 first to three. Like it was a shame when people play or tournaments were held in first to twos. So this was something like they changed in Tekken 7, the first to two format, because it's more uncomplicated, faster. But since Tekken 8 is also a faster game overall, I think people or TOs need to test it in tournaments, how long it takes. If they would held a like master event in the first to three format, and like experiment and add more time in general for this, because I think from my like what I would like think is that it's possible to organize first to three tournaments like in Tekken 8 especially, because the matches are faster usually, and it should be possible. And I think it's more entertaining for players because they have more games. Imagine you're playing like you travel somewhere in a different continent and play a tournament, and you just play overall 4 games because you went 0-2 two times. Like imagine you could play more games. It would be also more fun for the like but it could be even more but it would be also more enjoyable for the players. But what I would be concerned is like spectators wouldn't enjoy the first to three format. So I'm a bit worried about that in Tekken 8, because I feel like they are getting bored somehow if they're watching every time top 32, like, or top 96, something like this first to three, because they want to see fast results. But in the first to three format, it can be like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and this is for spectators maybe boring. This is a important point, like where we need to find the right balance, where top 16 or top 8 first to three is already fine, because the quality on big tournaments on top 16 is like crazy, and then people wouldn't mind to watch like a long set. What we've seen, for example, Chanel, like at EWC, there were first to 5 sets, and they were very entertaining to watch, I have to say. For me personally, I really enjoyed to watch these longer sets. Like it was not boring for me at all. Maybe there were like 2 times Dragunov people do complain, but this is another case. Like overall, like longer sets can be interesting.
Yeah, I think like you guys mentioned, especially Tetsu mentioned, it's all about like logistics, the tournament organizers and whatnot. I mean, we've seen so many people talk about this, so many of the pro players like Austin Ash, and I'm sure like so many other players. I think Nee spoke about it in Ulsan. But yeah, I think I would prefer, if possible, I'm sure, for like the Tekken World Tour side of things, top 8s for like master events. Like master events are usually two days. Some of the master pluses are 3 days. Surely they could do first to 3 for like top 8 or from top 16 at least. Surely they have the time, right? And I think that would help us a lot as competitors as well, because, you know, a lot of us travel for so long and kind of losing just 6 rounds in one set. It's crazy when you think about it. If you lose 6 rounds, you're in losers. And if you lose another 6 rounds, you're out. Like, yeah, exactly, GG's. I would really appreciate like if they could maybe consider it. Like you guys said, Street Fighter has it, but Street Fighter also has 2 rounds per game. But yeah, I
definitely 99 seconds.
And is it 99 seconds?
Yeah, it's not 60 seconds.
Interesting.
It's 99. Yeah, it's overall a longer round they have.
Yeah, but in general, it's a 5-second round.
Yeah, like I think with Tekken 8 as well, like I feel like the sets. I'm sure someone posted. I think there's a TO. I can't remember who it was, but they posted how long a Tekken 8 tournament takes on average compared to Tekken 7, and I'm sure Tekken 8 was way faster. Like surely they could do something.
But I think the problem is, since the majority of tournaments we all attend are TWT tournaments, and they have that strict format, and in order for Namco to change something, we need to show them that it works, because they're probably scared of, like, what if it doesn't work? What if TOs cannot handle it? And the problem here is that we only or mostly attend TWT tournaments, so we don't have a way, since they're forced to obey their rules, to show them, hey, versus 3 works. So we only have little pieces that we can show Namco in order to prove them that versus 3 works, because we're so forced to play TWT. A lot of tournaments that are not TWT forced, or like are not TWT, like to do first to 3 top 8s, like to do first to 3 top 16s, and we could show that as an example to Namco to show them that it does work. But if we don't have that kind of tournaments, they could be scared that it may cause problems in the future if they change the whole format to be first to 3, But I think the good point that you mentioned is maybe only adapt it to Masters or Master Plus at first, and then gradually change it from season to season into more, like into Masters, then into Challengers, and then maybe even dojos.
Yeah, like what Sephi said as well, like with invitations it's different because there's a set amount of players that are in that tournament. But when it comes to like Masters and Master Pluses, there's no cap, so I understand that. But yeah, I'd definitely like to see, I think, like first to 3 for like top 16, top 8 for Master events or something, or even Challenger events, because again, like it's a Tekken World Tour and some of us travel for so long and we put in so much time into the game, and like for it to just be decided on like the tournament side of things, it's crazy. But again, as professionals, we kind of have to adapt. But I really hope they do consider this change, because I think it benefit everyone. Even from a spectator's perspective, I think a lot of them wouldn't mind, in my opinion. Like I think Tekken 8 is really good to watch. It's fun, and it's really pretty as well, So yeah.
I think overall we need to speak out that we want to see it more, so Namco Bandai sees it clearly. Otherwise they would see like maybe 1 or 2 posts and that's it. But if we would make it more like public or talk about it way more often, I think this would help to make it clear.
Definitely.
Bro, imagine you're in losers bracket, bro. You traveled all the world. You went to Korea. You're in losers bracket. T1 I musician. You eat flash 6 times. GG's. Go home.
Or you play against, I don't know, Arthur Butts Dragon. He's just so aggressive. 6 rounds in like 20 seconds. GG.
Amazing, bro. We've seen Evo. He can even do 9 rounds.
Exactly. In how many minutes? It's insane. But yeah, I'd definitely like to see that change. I think it'd benefit everyone, honestly.
At least 1 year we could try it and see if it's working out or not. Like in Tekken 8, we also tried out. We're talking about this topic later, I think.
No, it's okay.
It's like talking about the stages. That stage picks do need to be randomed, like every match.
Yeah.
And this is like a really, in my opinion, good thing, because we see a lot of variation. Even though I was like concerned about this because I didn't like it, or I think in Tekken 7 it wouldn't work out that well.
Yeah.
But in Tekken 8 it's a really good change to see like more variation on stages and how people like deal with stages.
Yes.
With the stages.
So for the viewers, I'm just gonna mention this question since Sephi brought it up. So we're talking about what we think about the stage rule in Tekken and whether this meta has affected certain players. Now, I'm not gonna say no names, Arslan, but what do you guys think? Because I think it's really good in Tekken 8, but I also think like some of the stages in Tekken 8 for tournament is like, we spoke about balance earlier as well, right? But I don't think it's just the balance side of things for characters that needs looking at. It's the system mechanics, like, stage gimmicks and all this stuff. Like, I feel like some of it's too much, but they have started to tone those things down. But yeah, I think I much prefer the random stage select rule over, picking a stage when you lose. Like, I honestly prefer it this way. Tetsu, what do you think?
For me, it's hard because, especially for my character that profits a lot from picking stages in this game. It's weird. But then again, in Tekken 7, if you see my background, if I lost like the first couple of years, I just went to that stage. It was my favorite stage and just kind of gave me motivation, gave me power. I don't know what it was, but people do be saying I played better on that stage. And on the other side, though, I played Claudio. Every time I lost, 99% of players just went straight up to Infinite. I didn't even have to think. I knew Infinite Azure, Arctic Snowfall. So I was thinking about this a lot because even though, as you said, Tekken 8 has a lot of crazy things like stage gimmicks that get activated by low heat smashes, but also stage gimmicks that get activated by mid heat smashes from across the stage. Feng, Jin. It happened to me in tournament already when I played against Jins.
Yeah.
Tanked him. Mid stage, heat smash. I fly, I die. And that is crazy. But then again, I'm unsure if in Tekken 7 it wasn't crazy as well. We had Zafina on Infinite. We had Kuni on Infinite. Towards the end of Tekken 7, I started going to Jungle Outpost instead of Duomo. Because that character, Claudio, was so strong on that stage that you just had an advantage. Bro, Anna, King and Armor King on Forgotten Realm.
Bro, let's not forget Marduk.
QCF2 countered launch. So it kind of made me think if in Tekken 7 it wasn't more impactful even than in Tekken 7. Because we know we have low heat smashes that turn on stage gimmicks, but then again maybe like 6 out of 33, 34 characters have low heat smashes, and not all of them activate walls, some also activate floors, etc, etc. So I feel like in some kind of way it was more impactful in Tekken 7. So I think it would be okay to kind of bring it back for Tekken 8 to have like a stage to go for. If you maybe add a stage ban or 2 stage bans, what they do in Smash. Like, let's say you have a favorite stage, which is not broken. Let's say, assuming my favorite stage would be the Urban Square, which is not. And my opponent was able to ban Arena, Underground, and Elegant Palace. And then I'll be able to go to my favorite stage. Or if I'm a Claudio player and I'm able to ban Yakushima and Colosseum, then the other guy can pick his favorite stage. Then again, it would add a lot of time into tournament, I think, because banning, choosing, it's just a logistic issue. So I'm torn, as you can hear. I think it was very impactful in 7, it's very impactful in 8. I'm fine with both, because in some kind of way you need to learn to play on every stage anyways. If I don't get to choose my stage and I'm lucky I get it, I'm even happier than I was in Tekken 7. If I get Infinite, I kind of need to be used to it anyways.
Yeah, I think it's so important, and it's a very interesting topic. You mentioned like stage bans and stuff, but I don't know, man. Like Tekken 7, we had a lot going on, right? But like in Tekken 8, I'm just thinking, would I want to fight like King on Descent into the Subconscious, or Dragonov in Ortiz Farm? Come on, like does anyone want that? Let's be honest.
But then again, I think Descent into Subconscious is balanced well, since the first floor break has to be hit twice.
Agreed.
And you can manage it. You can kind of manage it. If the King player starts off with a floor break, you can then break it first. If you get a combo first, you can opt to not break it, so you still have 2 hits remaining, which is really, really good.
So what do you think about like Underground Arena, for instance?
Bro, it's broken for my character. What am I?
Ridiculous.
Ask my training partner. I think it's the best to ask my training partner what he thinks about those stage games.
Oh man, yeah. If characters like Claudio or any character with low heat smashes can choose their stages, we would see way more Underground Arena, Elegant Palace, and Ortiz Farm.
Also, what's the Mishima stage? The Mishima Dojo?
Secluded training ground.
Yeah, like I think 3 walls on each side is it's crazy. I think. Exactly.
Yeah. This wouldn't be that fun, but then we are like relying on luck which stages we get, and this is also like sometimes I see like Tetsu playing against someone, and he plays 2 times on Yakushima.
I was just gonna mention
Like,
that.
man, like, what is this?
I think
Like, how much bad luck does he get? Like, not picking the right stage. But still, he is winning. So even with like the factor like random stage, you can still win, of course, on these stages. But this factor luck is like still a thing.
yeah, I think I definitely agree. Like, I think I'm happy with the random stage select rule, but I still think they need to fix. Like, I'm sure everyone's aware of the bug where you random select a stage and you get the same stage that you're already playing on, and we've seen that so many times in tournaments. Like, someone can be playing on, I don't know, Underground Arena, and they can be waiting on the random select. They could be thinking about what went wrong. They'll do random stage select, and it'll always be the same stage.
Fine.
And I'm surprised they haven't addressed that yet, because I feel like it has to be a bug with how often we see it in tournaments.
Maybe.
But this is also like random. Sometimes the chances are very low, but it can happen though at the end.
True, it is random after all, but I don't know.
I don't know, man.
Okay, so one of the last questions, the second last question I have is, when do you think it's worth switching characters for matchups, and how effective do you really think it is? Now, me personally, this is something I've struggled with since Tekken 7, and I still struggle to this day. Like in Tekken 7, I played Devil Jin, Heihachi, Feng, Kazuya, and Zafina as well. But I'd never understand when to play certain characters. I'd think to myself, like in a tournament situation, like, am I going to use this character now? You know, I've been practicing this matchup, but do I want to risk it? Should I just focus on my main and just, go with the normal game plan? I've always been hesitant on doing these things, but I think when you put in the time and the effort, I think it's really effective when you have like secondaries and multiple characters for certain matchups you struggle with, or even in general certain matchups your character's not that good in. And that's like me in Tekken 8 right now. Like, I'm playing Heihachi, for instance. I also have Reina as well on the side, and I'm also playing a few other characters which I've not been playing on stream, but I'm preparing for in tournaments just in case. How effective do you guys think this really is? Because I think it's really effective, but you need to know when to use these characters. Like, I'm trying to think of an example of when someone used I think I have an example. When Arslan played Alyssa versus, was it Kane and Trench at Only the Best?
I'm not sure about Kane and Trench, but I think against Mulgold.
Against Mulgold, that's it. Did he win or did he lose?
He won the tournament.
Okay.
But grand final, I think he picked Nina again. I'm not sure. Forgot.
But yeah, the point being is, like, we've seen so many people, so many players, like, prepare specific characters for, like, certain playstyles, players, matchups, and whatnot. What do you guys think about this?
Like, I think you're also a really good example with Reina. For example, the pick that you did against Hassan Ali in the grand finals was very effective. And I think it was the right thing to do, because with Feng, you didn't feel that comfortable. And this was a good pick at that time. But overall, people should... It's very player dependent as well, because certain people do feel comfortable when they switch characters because they can switch also their game plan really fast, and other people still stuck in their mindset with the previous character they picked, and this can be very crucial. So maybe getting some experience in locals or smaller tournaments where you like test if it works out to play multiple characters and see how your strategy works can be helpful to see if you're this type of player or not, because some people should play only one character when they have the confidence, which you should have when you play this game. Like, they see while they're playing, like, how to say it? For example, like for example, me, when I have like no confidence in my character and I lose the first match, I try to rebuild it. Yeah. But sometimes it would be better for like other players if they would switch the character to get their confidence back. You need to try to feel like comfortable in a set. Since it's very short, you need to find the way how to go. Some people know if they lose one match, they switch to one character. For example, AK is a really good example. When he's losing or lost in Tekken 7 one match, he switched to Akuma. He's like, okay, There you go. Now you try to deal against this boss character. And this is a good way. So finding out how you feel comfortable with one or two, like you should play like at least two characters, I think, overall. When you don't feel like comfortable with one character, to switch to this other to see if you're more successful. But this is more of a player, like you need to be that type of player.
So,
Definitely.
have you ever thought about playing a second character? Because we know in 7 you played Miguel, right? And in
Yeah.
8 you're only playing Shaheen. You've played other characters, but you also played Jin as well, right? In 7 sometimes?
In 7, yeah, I played like multiple characters for a certain time as a secondary. But then I was like, man, actually, I can do it with Miguel as well. But I need to approach it in a different way. For example, when I play against Feng, I needed to play against Feng in a different way with Miguel. It wasn't like my usual gameplay, but I knew if I would like be strict with this game plan, I would have the chance to win. But it's a different adaptation than switching to another character, because there are definitely good or bad matchups, and if you switch characters, this can help to avoid like the bad like matchups in this way. But you can also avoid the bad matchups with like different strategies overall, like be more cautious, not getting hit by keep out tools, for example, or use moves in a different way. So it's more like an like how to approach your opponent overall.
So, do you guys think like bad matchups are like more what's the word? Like more effective now? Like, do you think it means more in this game, or do you think in Tekken 7, like with the stage select rule as well, like do you think bad matchups were more common and effective in 7?
I think, yeah, in Tekken 8, I remember before the game came out, like around CNT, CBT times, a lot of people said, oh, you need to play at least 2 to 3 characters in this game. But I think a lot of it came down to unfamiliarity. We get to use the game. We know how it's played a bit. We get used to a lot of characters. And I feel like now, looking back to it, after almost a year where the game is out, that in Tekken 7 it was more prominent. Like, having a bad matchup, having to play against Zafina on Infinite, Kunimitsu on Infinite, it was very, very hard. Whereas in Tekken 8, the nature of the game just allows you to win against bad matchups more often, since you have more forced situations where the opponent doesn't have any counterplay except guessing. And that's just one reason where I think in Tekken 7, a bad matchup had more impact than in Tekken 8. Then again, I think there are some, not a lot of, a tiny amount of matchups where I'd say, okay, it makes sense to have a counter pick here. But the majority of gameplay, I think you can manage by one character, even though it might be better having a second character, not only on paper because it's better, just also because your mental is better. You feel better with that character and that matchup, so it might be okay to pick up secondary one. But I also think a point you said, the timing is very important. You sometimes don't know which character to pick. I had the same situation in 7 with Lydia and Claudio, and that is the thing I said earlier on. A first to 3 format would change, because in the first to 3 format, you're less scared to change or try out new things. But all in all, I'd say one character, even in this game, is enough, with some exceptions.
I agree. I definitely agree. Like it's doable, but it's hard. But I think with the more time you put into like your main character and the more experience you get against playstyles, matchups, etc., I think it definitely becomes easier, you know.
Yeah, already good players showed that even when they played a bad matchup, they could win like really convincingly.
Like
So it's
Anakin, for
definitely-
instance, like Anakin used to, and I think he still believes to this day that like bad matchups don't really exist. Like you can still win as long as you play like a different way, or you just play solid and whatnot. You can still win bad matchups.
Yeah, definitely.
So the last question I have for you guys is, how often do you switch pads? Like Tetsu, I know you have a Hori fighting commander, so and if they stop making it, like what are you gonna do? You know, me, I play on DualShock 4. I actually brought a new DualShock 4 recently. I switch pads like every 2-3 months, I don't replace the D-pad because I just can't be bothered. I just buy a new pad and we just carry on playing the game. So how often do you guys switch then?
You know, you mentioned I have like a holy fighting pad, and that question is the reason I actually switched, because back then everyone, like in Europe, the majority just starts on DS4 when they started Tekken 7, and I got fed up by the same reason. Like I had to change pads every 2 months. The cool thing or the funny thing is it really depends on the character you play. If you play a character like Claudio, it doesn't get worn out as fast as if you play Mishimas or Akuma. And what many people don't know, Akuma was like my second or third most played character in Tekken 7. So a lot of times where I started to play Akuma, my pad got wore down so fast, even sometimes once a month, especially if you like play Mishimas and Akuma. And I was a guy who changed D-pads, but I couldn't be bothered anymore. So I was looking into alternatives. And then I stumbled upon the Holy Fighting Pad, and that pad was so great that I had to switch it, and still have to switch it once a year maximum. So sometimes it lasts me even more than once a year, especially now since I don't have Akuma anymore. I noticed in Tekken 8 it lasts more. And that was the actual reason that I switched pads. It's not because I like the D-pad more. It's not because I like the 6-button layout more. It's because I was fed up by switching pads and losing consistency, which I think is very important. Because when you start playing a pad, a fresh one, you bought a fresh one, the D-pad is very stiff. And over time, it gradually changes. But since it gradually changes, you cannot get used to one thing, which usually stick players and hitbox players, they have. Obviously, they can change some parts and then it changes. But most of the time, if they're happy with their layout and setup, they have consistency, which we as pad players don't have. Even for my pad, it lasts for a year, but it changes. So it's not consistent. And as you said, they don't produce them anymore. And once I heard that, it was like 2 years ago, bro, I bought 6 or 7 in a bulk. I was like, let me get the last ones in all of Germany. I had friends in Berlin. I told them to buy the one in their local shop, so I just have them. Now I still have around 4 left, and if you take the once per year cycle, that means I have like 4 more years of professional play left after I retire. But jokes aside, since I don't have to switch anymore, I'm very happy with the pad. But then again, it's an old pad. You have to play with converter, which can cause issues we have seen in tournaments. So I'm a bit scared on that end. But then again, I am actually thinking about maybe switching devices to a hitbox, because I feel like, not because a hitbox is just straight up better, which it is, but I feel like more important than what you can do with hitbox is that you have a consistent device. We don't have to think about, stiff D-pad, in a month is semi-stiff, in 2 months it's about to wear down, in 3 months I'll have a stiff D-pad again. And the hitbox, you can practice on it, and you have the same density, you have the same reaction, you have the same thing until it all breaks. And if it breaks, you can change one button at a time. You don't have to buy a huge whole new hitbox. And I think that's very important. Consistency is something that is very, very important, especially in high pressure situations and tournaments where you only rely on your muscle memory.
Sephi, what's your thoughts?
Like, unfortunately, I started with the DualSense 5. Is it called like this?
Yeah.
The controller for the PlayStation 5.
DualSense.
And the DualSense. And I didn't like it. I tried it for like 1 month because I already had like to switch from a PS2 pad to a PS3 pad and PS3 to PS4. So it was natural for me to switch to a new pad depending on the game that I played. And after 1 month, I still felt so uncomfortable with the DualSense that I switched back to a DualShock 4. Is it called like this?
Yeah.
DualShock 4. And since then, I'm playing like a DualShock 4. And after 3 or 4 months, I'm switching the rubber. I got plenty of like the D-pad rubber and switching it after when I feel like dropping my combos or like my inputs, like when I press down, especially down is often broken. Then I need to switch it or holding back, like not working properly. Then I know, okay, it's time to switch. It's more cheaper, a bit more annoying because you need to like open your your pad and put the rubber, switch the rubber. I even broke like 2 pads on this like attempt to switch rows because I didn't do it properly in the beginning, so it was quite annoying. But yeah, at the end, I feel like after 3 months or 4 months, I need to switch to rubber, and it should be fine for like a few years. It's not the most consistent like solution, but for like the first years, it's okay. Like Tetsu said, learning a more consistent like device, like a level is overall like better if you don't want to like deal with broken stuff like the pads.
Yeah, I started when Tekken 8 launched. I started playing on the DualSense. I spent like 2 weeks on it. It was too big. I played Claw as well, and I just couldn't get used to it. So I just said to myself, I'm gonna play on DualShock 4, obviously with the converter. But I've had a lot of issues with the converter. You know, as CEO at Mixup, I had issues. So I'm also thinking about switching to levelless in February after EU Cup. I think it's honestly worth it as well. But the problem is, like, we compete pretty often, right? And the thing is,
That's
like,
a huge problem.
yeah, we don't have like, people don't understand, we don't have time to like get used to a peripheral because it could affect our performance and stuff. So when there's that little off season that we have as Europeans, like, which is February, we probably have like 2 months before Tekken World Tour starts and EWC and everything. Man, we're gonna have to put in some serious hours to get used to hitbox or levelers, you know.
That's the not problem with EU Cup, but as you said, we have less off time than other regions. And sometimes off time and the break, especially if you play professionally, is so important. Especially in this game, man.
Yeah, this game is
so jarring.
It's like Sephie said, it's jarring, it's exhausting, but of course we're all grateful and fortunate to be able to compete and stuff, you know, and do what we've all dreamt of doing, you know, traveling and just competing in this game. It's super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's all the questions I had for you guys. I want to, first of all, thank you guys for doing this discussion with me. You know, I hope you guys had fun. We spoke about so many different topics, and I'm sure like people will enjoy this video as well, you know. I'll definitely link your socials down below, and again, very grateful and thankful for you guys to come on and speak to me about these topics. And I learned so many new things about you guys today as well, and we speak pretty often. I don't even know about half these things, but do you guys have any last words or thoughts or anything you want to say to your fans, etc., etc.?
Just want to say thank you for having us in the video. I enjoyed talking to you about all the things, and I hope the people back at home watching just enjoy having an insight behind like other players. I mean, you do videos, they do know you, but also like other views that pro players can have, and I hope you guys enjoyed everything we have talked about here.
Yeah, I also appreciate that we talked like this. It's a really cool format to have like more insights of the players, even though we're talking like also private, like in this publicly, that other people see what our opinions are about certain topics. Also a nice thing that it's nice to communicate also like in public. And yeah, it was very fun. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much, guys. God bless, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.